think the Democratic Party should be ashamed of itself. I think they are a national embarrassment to be in a situation where it's the year 2024 and a man that turned 81 years of age in November, you're asking him to give you 4 more years because he is your best candidate.
He was right then, he took heat, and he stood by it. That's just one reason I love Stephen A. Smith. He tells it the way it is. So I wanted very much to bring him in here, and I hope you're watching the Stephen A. Smith Show. You know him from ESPN, but he's got his own show, the host of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Excellent programming, wide variety of topics. Thank you, my handsome friend.
What's going on, buddy?
So, Biden is out.
Yep.
You are not surprised.
Nope.
Do you like the reaction to Biden being out and what we are seeing crystallize in the Democratic Party around VP Harris?
Well, I would say this. I think the sympathy towards the president has been a bit excessive. And the reason why I say that is because, listen, it's not about ageism. Again, it's about him. And there was a clear decline. And his years of service, 48 years as a senator, vice president, and president of the United States, show your appreciation for him, but recognize the times that we're living in, how urgent this upcoming election is, and saying there's somebody better for the job. That's what they had to do. And then you see all of these crocodile tears coming from all over the place at the Democratic Party.
Out.
And we know you pushed them out. I mean, everybody can see that. Yeah. So the fact is that it came across as a bit excessive and disingenuous, to say the least. But you understood why they had to do it, because you knew what the Republicans were going to say on that end. So you look at it from that standpoint. In terms of the choice that they made, it was the obvious choice, which is Vice President Kamala Harris. That's the direction this is going in.
If it's not her, would you be pissed? Would you think it's wrong?
Oh, I would be. It would definitely be wrong. First of all, I look at it this way. This is just me. God forbid something had happened to him and he passed away. Who would be the president?
She would.
It would be her. Okay, when you donate to the campaign, it's the Biden-Harris campaign. It ain't just Biden. So the apparatus, the structure is already in place. And so why disrupt all of that, particularly this late in the game when you have to get those delegates? You can't afford to do that. So the synergy, the cohesiveness that you need, she obviously brings that to the table. Plus, she was your vice president. To me, it's an obvious choice to make here. And she has to go for it. You're a prosecutor. You're going against somebody that's been convicted of 34 felonies, that's been impeached twice. This guy had civil cases against them. This should be right up your alley. It's one thing to go up against Dems, people that are your contemporaries in your wheelhouse, and you got to butt heads with them. It's another thing entirely when they're out the way, and the only thing you've got to focus on is the opposition that is the opposite party, which is him. It should be easy for her to go up against him, of all people.
Two things. One, so you're okay with this manipulated process because of who she is. You did not mention that Harris would be the first female president, or let alone the first black female president.
Right.
Why not?
Because I don't care at this particular point. I'm about what's best for America. That's the number one thing that I want to. Of course, as a black man, I would be incredibly proud if she were to become president of the United States. But it's primarily because of her qualifications as a black woman, not because she's a black woman. She's the former district attorney in San Francisco, former attorney general in the state of California, a U.S. senator. She's put in the time. She's put in the work. She has the credentials. She has the intellect. She has the fiery personality. If you let it out and you don't muzzle her like the administration presumably did, all of those things come into place. As a black man, I will not apologize for wanting somebody black in that position. I voted for Barack Obama. It wasn't an option. It wasn't an option. I had to vote for him in 2008. The first opportunity for a black person to become president of the United States, absolutely. But once that transpires and that precedent has been set and history has been made, now we dial it back to those qualifications even more so. Not to say that he wasn't qualified, but certainly even more so. And when you look at it from that standpoint,
she's more qualified than he was.
That's right. Just like he said Hillary was more qualified than he was as a junior senator back in 2007, 2008. So I look at it from that standpoint. I would be very, very happy. But the state of affairs that exist in this country, we have to make sure that it's somebody that's qualified. She is qualified, make no mistake about it. But I'm not thinking about black, white, or anything like that. I'm thinking about the best person for the job.
No, interesting take. Let's talk about the state of play a little bit. You think she can win?
I think she could. I think it's going to be uphill battle because I do think that the Republicans had gained momentum. You're hearing a lot more about the record that Joe Biden has put forth, the infrastructure bill, the rescue plan, the Rescue Act, Ketanji Brown Jackson being appointed to the Supreme Court justice, along with other things that the administration has done. You're hearing about that now. keep in mind, we spent a whole bunch of time not hearing about that because they were busy telling us about the disaster that Trump was going to be. Oh, my Lord, he's a criminal. Oh, my Lord, he's got to be out there. We can't, it's a threat to democracy, blah, blah, blah. We were hearing about that more so than we were hearing about what the Harris-Biden administration or the Biden-Harris administration had done. Now we're hearing more about their record and what they achieved. If you're a liberal, you're a Democrat, you're a progressive, you feel good about it. If you're a conservative Republican, you don't feel good about it. So it's two sides, and you obviously got to pick one. It's hard to pick. You might say it might have been hard to pick her over other viable Democratic candidates if there was a pool of people she had to go against in a primary. That is not what this is. It's the presidency of the United States. It's the Republican against the Democrat. It's going to be her against Trump. And to me, that is a battle she has a chance to win.
Two more quick beats. First one is, what do you think of Bobby Kennedy talking to Trump? And Trump, obviously, his people went bad on the conversation, said he didn't want a quid pro quo, which, you know, you and I know enough. Trump doesn't have a problem with the quid pro quo.
Not at all.
It's just that Bobby wants to stay in the race. But it is a nod to the idea that Bobby may be a spoiler in this race, but not for Harris.
Well,
but against Trump.
Okay, but I don't mind that because what you're doing is you're forcing somebody to come to the center.
Right.
You know, as you have educated me about on many occasions, too much operating on the fringes. What Kennedy does is say, come to the middle. Because I'm an independent. I'm a centrist to some degree. There are certain things that I see from the conservative side. There's certain things that I see from the liberal side. That's the vast majority of America. It's not about the fringes. It's about where the masses are. The vast majority is. And if that's what he ultimately forces and compels folks to do, I'm all for it.
Did you see any of the hearing today with the Secret Service?
Yes, I did.
What argument could you make that she should not resign?
Zero. She has to resign.
Has to, right?
She openly admitted that it was an awful job on her part, that the buck stops with her. I forgot the Republican senator that said to her, because Donald Trump was shot but not killed, you look incompetent. Had he been killed, you'd look culpable. And so for me, when you have that kind of indictment and you have the leader of the committee, along with the Democrat, both of them asking for your letter of resignation, along with an abundance of elected officials, you've clearly dropped the ball. You said the buck stopped with you. You said it was an egregious error. You've admitted that you dropped the ball.
She also didn't know a lot of stuff.
That's right.
That stuff about the roof, and then you saw all those old members of Congress tap dancing on that.
No question. No, listen, at the end of the day, when the buck stops with you and you're that culpable, somebody new needs to be in that job. It's just that simple. She has to resign.
You know who should say she's out?
Who?
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris should say this lady should step down.
I can say that as well. I don't disagree with you, but I would tell you a name. I would tell you someone that comes before Kamala Harris, herself. The fact of the matter is, you know you didn't do the job.
Yeah.
You know you dropped the ball, and you nearly got a presidential candidate killed, assassinated, on live television, by the way.
What do you think of people saying he wasn't shot? I don't know what's crazier, that Trump did this to himself, he wasn't shot, or that Biden planned it. That's how crazy we are, Steve.
In the age of social media and beyond, and sometimes we can find ourselves guilty of this as well, but we got a lot of children, grown-ups acting like children. And we call them trolls, but they're really children. What they're doing is they're instigating and provoking, you know, not just conversations, but actions just based off of emotion, devoid of facts, and they don't even care about facts. And when you have people like that, you got to know how to identify that and be a big person about it, and be the adult in the room. Sometimes it's hard because they get on your damn nerves. And what you want to do is you want to check them. You want to check them real quick, let them know. But in the end, in the age of camera, phones, and everything else, and the slightest thing being able to be misconstrued and misinterpreted, what have you, it's more important for us to be the adult in the room, particularly over situations like this. It's just an immature thing for people to do. There was a shot that was fired. It did graze his ear. There was blood coming down his face. The Secret Service didn't jump on stage for nothing. And so when you take all of those things into account, there is just absolutely positively no excuse to have a juvenile kind of thinking. You can utter it out of your mouth for a quick second, you thought something, but then your senses are supposed to kick in and you're supposed to be an adult about it.
It is all evidence of why there's such a desperation for better in the country.
Yeah.
As you said, the majority, they just want reasonable. They don't want left and right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.